All right. So for this training, our overall focus will be towards Power BI, which is the reporting tool from Microsoft. And then it allows you to basically get the data from different data sources and then present the data by doing different analytics so that it derives a lot of useful information for the front end user. So basically, what you will be doing overall is you'll be getting the data from different data sources, whether it's like a SQL server or getting the data from Excel or CSV based data or like pulling the data anything from website. So let's say if you want to analyze any of the stocks, you can directly point to Yahoo Finance and then pull the data and then start analyzing the data directly in Power BI desktop. So that's how Power BI provides that leverage for you to get the data and then perform any kind of transformation on top of that data. So in terms of using this Power BI report or like Power BI platform at the enterprise level, so what companies, organizations, what they basically do is, so they want to basically analyze their like day-to-day performance or how they are delivering services to their like either end clients or customer. So whatever activity it happens between different departments and all, they basically try to collect the data and then store the data into a data warehouse. So once we have all the data in one place, so they would basically need a tool for analyzing the data. So Power BI directly can connect to the data warehouse, pull what all tables you want to basically get into Power BI, and then on top of it, you could do a lot of analysis. So in the coming sessions, we would try to get ourselves familiar with Power BI desktop, what all key features you would be using on a daily basis. And then we also will be seeing a few of the data sources from where we can pull the data into Power BI, and then from there, how we can visualize the data basically. So overall, what you could think the way the end goal of a Power BI report is like you're creating this presentation layer for the front end user, whether it could be your manager or whether it could be head of any of the departments or any of the executives, anyone with C level, they are trying to see insights on the day-to-day operations and then take some business decisions. Okay. So any questions, any doubts on that? All right. So next, uh, for working with a Power BI report, you would basically have three components. One is like you will have a source from where you want to pull the data. If it is like a standard organization, so let's assume like you're pulling the data from the SQL server. And then second is like you will be modeling the data. Modeling is basically you create the relationships. And then third one is to just present the data. So for doing this three operations, we have to basically use like a few of the programming languages, a few of the external tools, a few of the tools provided from Microsoft to perform the operations. So the programming languages, what you will be using is one will be the SQL language with which you query the database, retrieve the data, and then see how the data is looking. And then from that, how many columns you want to basically bring into your Power BI report. That is number one. And then after that, next, what you will be basically doing is you will be using DAX language, and then you will be adding a few functions. So let's say if I want to calculate sum of a specific column, then I write a very basic calculation saying I want to do a sum for that specific column, and then you should be done. So you could see, but like understanding that basic of how DAX language work is really important. So we would have like a specific section where we would be discussing about what all concepts would go with how the Dax function is being executed. Okay, so apart from this, we will be using like Management Studio to connect to the database and then pull the data. And then we have a bunch of external tools. So this is the Power BI desktop interface, and then at the top, so this would be this you would feel it will be similar to any of the Microsoft Office products. So this will be similar to a Word, like a PowerPoint or any of the other tools. So you could see in this external tools, apart from Power BI desktop, it's allowing the capability to connect with the other tools as well, which is the ALM toolkit, Dax Studio, and then Tabular Editor. Okay, so next, let me quickly move to this Power BI tutorial guide document and then quickly give you a walkthrough of what all elements are important and then how we have to basically follow this documentation. So basically, the first thing what we have here that we'll be using on a regular basis or as a Power BI developer, so you'll be spending most amount of your time on this tool, which is Power BI Desktop. So for Power BI Desktop, so you basically have two options. One, to get it from Microsoft Store. So you just go to Microsoft Store and then search for Power BI Desktop, and then it will like pop up this, and then you'll be able to download it. I could show it for you. So if I search for Store, and then from here, if I say Power BI, you could see the first Power BI Desktop. So this is the app using which we can do all the development. So this is the first one. So the alternative is there is a location where you will be getting an installation file. So let's say if you have issue with the Microsoft Store, then what you could basically do is go on Google and then search for Power BI Desktop, and then you'll be getting an installation file. So one advantage what you will have if you will be downloading it from the Microsoft Store is every month Power BI will be sending out updates with the new features. So you don't have to worry about updating Power BI Desktop. So Microsoft Store will automatically take care of updating your application. So you should be good, and then you'll be able to see all the required features basically. And then next is some of the tools, but I think we can come back to this, like how we can leverage this external tools. But apart from that, if I come below into this Dax Learning Resources area, so you would have two resources here. One is Dax Guide, so which is like dax.guide.com. So you can directly go to this website. And then I gave the example of using a sum function, right? So what you could basically do is just search for that function, or what you would have is like you would have like a complete glossary on that. So if I come here on Chrome and then go to the dax.guide.com, then you could see to the left it has like all this filtering criteria for us, whether to see it like from A to Z, or if I go within the groups, then you could see we have functions, we have data types, we have operators and statement. And then third one, we have this search operations here. And then you could say these are for the different products, because DAX is not only used in Power BI, but it is also used with Excel models, and then also with the SSAS as well. But you could see within the groups, I have functions. And then these are the different functions with the different area, I would say. You could see the first area, what we have is aggregation. And then within this, we have different functions here. And then we were discussing about sum function. Then you could see it gives all the required details here for this function with a video tutorial as well. So you could see the syntax for this is uh, here you see add all the numbers in a given column. So if you have like an Excel document, and then let's say you have all the sales data or like all your expenses data in column A, then what you would do is you will write a sum function and then refer to that specific column, and then it will aggregate all the number for us. So you could see we have this syntax here, sum and column name. And then if I scroll down, so we you have this different syntax here, sum versus sum x. And then it also gives you an example here. So you could see define, measure, and all, which we'll be seeing in detail. But you could see how the output it created. So this brings me to the second resource, what we have listed down here, which is the Dax Playground. That's the link for that is dax.do. So if I come here and then if I say try, then you could see the URL is completely changing here. And this is saying dax.do for us. And then it has like referenced this and then already got the link for us. So we can go through it and then read it. And then I'll be able to run this and then see the output here at the bottom. Okay. So to the left here, what you're seeing are different tables here. So the way a Power BI is structured is you will be pulling multiple tables, and then in each table, you would be having multiple columns. So this is similar to an Excel. So in Excel, you would have multiple tabs, and in each tab, you would have a list of columns. So this will be the accounts, will be like an accounts tab in Excel, but in Power BI, the way you call it is accounts table. And then we have this colors group, customers, date, product, promotion, rate, sales, and then all those tables here with all those columns. So if I have to write a very basic DAX measure, then what I could do is try to get rid of everything from here. And then let's say if I only want to see this accounts table, then I can drag and drop here. And then you could see this is saying evaluate just the accounts table. And then if I say run here, then you will be able to see how this accounts table is looking like. But let's say if we don't want to go for accounts, but we want to see for customers, when I start typing this, it will give me table name first, followed by the column name. But let's say if we are only interested to see the full table structure, then we say evaluate customer, and then we say run.
Brother, I have a question. So are you creating any tables, or we're just retrieving the data that's already in this system?
So this one is like a playground, and then this already provides you with the data, and then you can practice DAX functions basically here. What we will be doing is within Power BI, we will try to load the data and then create our own visuals. But this playground area for DAX, this is like a ready-made environment for you. It's only like testing all the DAX related functions. So if you're not clear with the sum function, so you can come here, reference, quickly test it before using it into your Power BI report.
Okay,
So
thanks.
this is only for testing purpose, but the actual development will be using Power BI Desktop, which is this tool. Yeah. So yeah, so you could see evaluate customers. So same way, if I again come back here to dax.guide where you have like a complete reference here. So let's say you get a request of counting all the products you purchase in a given year, then you could see this has a function in Power BI. So this basically translate to what we basically want to do using like uh, uh, like day-to-day operations. So the same way you will be seeing a function. So let's say if you want to only do a distinct count, so you don't want to count like any of the products that are repeating. So same function you'll be able to find it here. You see distinct count here. So let's say if you want to find the maximum of like let's say you did a purchase and then now you want to find the highest paid product, then you have like a max function here. So I would say on an average we only will be using 10 to 15 functions, so that we also will be using on a regular basis when we'll be going through this sessions as well. But I'll try to provide a list of all those functions. But once you have a good understanding of how these functions behave together. So it will be it will become very easy for you to come here on the portal, use these functions, and then complete your requirement logic. So let's say if I give you the requirement saying give me the distinct list of all the products, then your task will be to just use this distinct function. So, and the syntax for this is distinct count and then the column. So if my column name is product, then you do this distinct count and then the column name, which was the product, and then you're done. Your requirement is done basically. Yep. So yeah, those kind of things we can go through it, and I'll also explain how those functions get executed so that you would have like a good understanding. But overall, like when we have the data available, any kind of analysis we want to do, so we can like do the analysis using those Dax functions. Going back again to the document here, so as I mentioned, we can download our own sample data set and then do some practice. So you could see now we have this section called sample data set. So we are going to like load the data for Northwind model. And I believe if we come back again on dax.do, here, okay, so they have Contoso. Yep, so Northwind is a different one. And you could see this is the source, which is coming from OData, and then this is the URL for that. And then here at the bottom, I have listed all the steps we basically need to follow. So what I'm saying here is open Power BI desktop. So if we follow step number 1, then we will be downloading Power BI desktop. And step number 2, what we are saying is click on get data. So now if I come back here to Power BI desktop, and let me expand this. So this is now, as I mentioned, is similar to a Microsoft Word. So if you're just keeping our focus on the home tab, then what we are seeing here is we have the option to get the data. So if I click on this, here it's saying this common data sources, and I'm able to see all these different data sources here. So if you just think that like all our data in Excel is so what I could do is I can say take this Excel connector, and then it will be able to prompt me to locate that Excel file and then load it. But let's say if we have the data in CSV, then I can click on that, and then it will directly take me to a specific location from where I can load the data. For this instance, so as we don't have like any of the sample Excel files or CSV files, so we want to load the data from any of the open sources. So we are now going with this OData feed here. So if I click on this OData feed here, then this asks me to provide the URL. So if I come here and then if I now scroll down, so I was able to open the Power BI desktop. Within the home tab, I was able to click on get data option. And then from there, I was able to click on this OData feed connectors, which is able to connect with any of the OData feeds. And then I have this Northwind dataset URL. So I just copy this and go back to Power BI desktop and I paste here. So this is like a basic URL, and I click OK. And the next thing what it will do is it is trying to authenticate you. So this is similar to like going to any of the banking website. So once you go onto the website and then once you click on login, it will ask you for how do you want to log in into that particular application. Same way when you're trying to log in here for the OData. So it's asking whether you want to connect it anonymous, whether you want to use any Windows credentials, basic, if you have any APIs, or if you have any organizational account. For this specific API, so this is basically open source, so you can connect anonymous and then still it will retrieve you the data. So I selected the authentication that I want to use, and then here you see we have the option here to connect. So if I click here, then it will load and then it will come up with a prompt for me. This is a navigator. And then the way this will work is this will give you the capability of selecting tables. So all these different rows which are listed here are the different tables, and I can select any of the specific table. So let's say if I'm selecting customers here, then you could see this is previewing the data for me. It's saying that this particular table customers have this customer ID, company name, contact name, and then so on. Okay, then let's say if I'm only interested in customers table, then I can like select this table with this check mark here, and then I can say just load this data, and I'll be all set. So I'm like now good with my first step because I now have the data, and then I'm all set for doing the reporting on top of this data now. So I have this customer table here. Now you could see when I'm working on this front view where it is like a blank canvas, you'll be able to see I have this different visualizations that are available here within the visualization pane. And then I have a fields pane here, which I'll be able to collapse to create more space here, or I'll be able to expand here. And then the way I'm seeing this fields tab here, I'm able to see this table name, and then I'm able to see all the columns that are present within the customer. But now let's say if I'm interested to see the data before presenting it, what I'll basically do is go into the data view, select for this table, and then now you will be able to see all this particular columns here along with the data. Okay, so now let's say your boss said only to do the reporting based on US customers, then you could select US here, and then you'll be able to see a list of all the customers here. Okay, so similar thing, the way you will be doing within Power BI is like this is I'm trying to cover this one quickly so that you guys have an idea what all different things we could do in Power BI, but we will be going in detail like each step what we are seeing here. So don't panic, but if you have any questions, you can stop me. So I want to provide a slicer for my manager, and then I want to give him the capability that he can select a country. And then based on whatever country my manager selects, I'll be giving him the information. So I'll be providing him customer ID information, so which I can select here, and then this is prompting and then giving the customer ID. And then I'll say I also want to include contact name, title, and then country. Okay, so for now I'm only interested in this. And then my manager now starts to use this report, and then he filters for USA, and then now he's able to get this list. So this is like a very quickest way he could get the list, and then now he can export the data, and then he could take like all this next steps. But now he expands the requirements, and then now says he also wants to see how many customers do we have. So we have to now provide a count. So what we have to basically do is I come here within the fields pane, I click right click and then say new measure. And then now we want to have customer count. So that's what we want to do. So for doing the customer count, so what Power BI provides the function is the count function, which we already have seen on dax.guide. And then now we have to reference that particular column. So we are counting the number of customer ID here. So this is a similar thing we would do. So now when we have filtered to USA, when we have to get the count, we just go here and then say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so on. So the same way this count function is doing. So I created this to do it for me. So when I added this measure, so one thing what I could do is I can drag and drop directly into this table visual, and then it will provide me this list. For USA, we have a count of 13 customers basically. And I can show the same thing as a KPI as well at the top. So I select this card visual here, and then I select this. So it's now showing me this card visual here. And I can clear this filter. Now he has more requirements for us, and then he says by country he wants to see total number of customers. So he's saying by country total number of customers. Then we have to bring in the country column. So right now we are not interested in map visual. We want to go with the table view, and we want to do a count. So what we basically do is drag and drop this, and then this will give us by country and then the customer count. So we have total of 91 customers, and then these are the list of all the customers by country. So either I can sort it by customer count. So this will sort by highest to lowest. Then you could see highest we have in USA, so this could be in ascending order or descending order by customer count, or same thing, we can do it by country as well. So I can sort this. So either it could be alphabetical order or by the customer account. So this will be a list of all the customers here. And then one good thing is, so now let's say if I'm interested to see Spain customers, then I can click on Spain, and then you see this, it only returns Spain-based customers. Let's say if I'm only interested in Finland, then I can do this here. Okay, got it? So this is very, very simple to give you an understanding how we can quickly load the data, quickly play with Power BI, but you would have like a lot of options, or you will be able to work on multiple things. And again, now let's say if I'm interested to expand this, so what I could basically do is again go to this OData, and then if I now I can bring in like orders, all those customer orders, or I can bring in their invoices. So let's say if I'm interested in orders, then you could see this particular customer, what's their order date, required date, ship date, and then what's their shipping address and all. Okay, and then if I see this invoices, then you would be able to see we have the shipping address, and then we have this unit price, quantity, discount, and all. So I can select this and I can load this data. You could see now we have two tables. One is the invoices, and then second one is the customer. So if I come here in the data view, so you could see to the left, uh, and if I see invoices, then you could see we have this data now available. So we have the ship country, ship name, and all. So we can try to see in our next classes how we can basically leverage the data. So if I again come back here to the document, so we covered all these items. We said like press load, and then we loaded the data. We for to start very simple, we are only going with one table, which is similar to only like one Excel tab, loading the data quickly, building like random visuals, just to keep it simple. And then in terms of Power BI interface, we have report view, we have data view, and then we have relationship view. So one thing what I could suggest is, so like when I hover over this icons here, then you could see this is the report. So this is the report view, and then we have the data view, and then we have the model view here. So if I click here, then you could see we have this customer table, we have this invoices table, which again we will be discussing in detail in the next classes. So this is done. So you could see we have all the sequence here. We want to basically cover. We completed this load Northwind data set, build basic visuals, add slicers, standardizing the report pages, drill down, drill through bookmarks, selection pane. So these are all the different areas we will be covering. So if you guys have a time, then you can go on to YouTube and then search for these keywords, and then you'll be able to find relevant videos. But most probably we'll be following the sequence so that you guys are comfortable, and then this will basically cover all the basics here. And then like learning keywords from this are really crucial. So from this you have this Power BI desktop, you have this get data, and then connectors, We have this report view, data view, and then the relationship view. So yeah, whenever you guys are getting time, so I would say spend good amount of time practicing, and then also writing down all the different keywords so that you are comfortable whenever you are explaining your Power BI work. So we also will be having discussion sessions. So let's say you are able to get random data from Google, whichever you're interested in. So you'll be able to pull the data into Power BI, and then you'll be able to build your own report. So if you want to showcase your report into those discussion meetings, that is also helpful. And then if you have like your own personal data that you want to play around and then build something, so that is also more than welcome. But every week I'll try to have a discussion session where you should be able to demo your work or explain what we have basically covered. Okay. So